Well, here we go. Biology 212, the second half of the course. We really we did a lot of identification. We did a lot of fundamental stuff in the first course of human anatomy and physiology, the Biology 211. In Biology 212, we take a little bit different twist on the class. Biology 212, we've got to get into some of the more specific things on how the body actually functions. So Biology 211, here's all these muscles, all these bones, human torso, here's all these different things. But now we're going to fine-tune those down a little bit. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the endocrine system. And in the endocrine system, we have to talk about, we start out this whole mechanism of human anatomy talking about a term called homeostasis. And homeostasis means same throughout. If we have a perfect balance in our body, then we have homeostasis. When we have homeostasis, we're trying to maintain a balance in the human body that is optimum for our existence. So we have a lot of things in the human body that are in homeostasis. Our temperature and our core temperature, if we if 98.6 is our average, maybe a little more, a little less for you, but if 98.6 is our core average, then when we get above that temperature, then the body reacts. It says, I've got to get back to homeostasis. If we get below that temperature, our body says, I've got to react. So how does this happen? Well, this is where the endocrine system comes in. There's lots of things that work to keep homeostasis in our bodies, to keep us in a good optimum range of balance, to be able to thrive, that our cells can thrive and our brain can thrive and all the organs in our organ systems can thrive. But the endocrine system deals with the secretion of hormones. Hormones are chemicals that cause change within the cells. So first of all, so once again, we'll start looking at what's going to be on our test for this. Anything within this video is going to be on test 1, and there's quite a few things. For example, homeostasis is going to be on there, maintaining a balance in the human body. Okay, that allows us to be able to operate in optimum ranges. So the word endocrine means internal secretion. The Latin word for endocrine means endo, meaning inside. Okay, all right, and then the crine, which is from Cretan, meaning internal secretion. So the secreted substances are called hormones. So they're once again, the endocrine system secretes these hormones. Well, let's talk about what are hormones. Hormones are a particular chemical developed in the body to cause a reaction to happen. A hormone is going to cause a reaction to happen. Now, how does this hormone know when to be produced? How does the body produce it? And how does it get to where it's supposed to go? Well, they act on what we call targeted cells. Okay, so there's lots of different types of hormones produced in the body. We're going to talk about those, but they have a targeted cell. They have a targeted cell. So isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? We're going to talk about some different glands that produce hormones. Isn't it amazing that a lot of these hormones, what they do is they're told that the body is what? What's the first term? Homeostasis. There's something in homeostasis that's out that triggers the body to produce a particular hormone. That gland produces this chemical. And then there's little capillaries. We talked about capillaries earlier, and these capillaries absorb this chemical. It goes through the capillary walls, and then that goes into the bloodstream. And then the hormone is secreted throughout the entire bloodstream, and then it finds the targeted cells. The targeted cells then have different protein receptors. It's kind of like has just the right Velcro or the right piece of the puzzle that it fits to. So even though the hormones are going throughout the body at different times, they're only looking for the targeted cells. How amazing is that? Now we talked a little bit about this is the endocrine system. When we talk about the exocrine system, the exocrine glands, those are glands like the glands in your mouth that produce saliva. produce stomach acid, produce digestive enzymes. The exocrine, E-X-O-C-R-I-N-E, the exocrine glands produce a chemical that is produced at the direct location, and it doesn't move throughout the body. So in the exocrine gland of the saliva glands, it produces saliva in your mouth that breaks down, okay, that breaks down sugars and starches as you eat them, okay. The stomach acid is an exocrine, once again, E-X-O-C-R-N-E gland that produces on the spot. Now, the difference between an endocrine gland, E-N-D-O-C-R-I-N-E, and an exocrine gland is that an endocrine gland produces hormones that diffuse throughout the body and throughout the bloodstream. So, an endocrine gland, okay, an endocrine gland produces the hormone that's going to attack, or not, I shouldn't say attack, it's going to assist a cell somewhere in the body. Okay, so the exocrine, E-X-O-C-R-I-N-E, that produces a chemical that's used on the spot. Endocrine means it's internally secreted, but it goes throughout the body to reach target cells. Now, there's 4 groups of hormones. Okay, there's 4 groups of hormones. Now, once again, you know, you gotta sit back and you gotta think. Okay, human anatomy, we talk about this all the time, is a vast amount of knowledge. I mean, anytime we teach human anatomy, we know that there's going to be so much stuff. We know there's more probably than what we can ever cover. So we have to we kind of do a flyby and hit the main things. But there's so many things in human anatomy. If you go on to something in medical or nursing or radiology or whatever, then you get more specific into the different systems. So human anatomy is a broad overview of all these things. But you got to realize that when we do a lecture, in no way are we covering everything within the chapter. That's why it's so important that you take your time with the indicated questions, and you're going through the chapter, and we have the other assignments, and that's why all of those things collectively give you the information that you need to know for human anatomy. So with that being said, there's 4 groups of hormones. First of all, there are amino acid derived hormones. And so with amino acid derived hormones, those amino acids are developed in the body. We'll talk even more about those. The second type of hormone is a polypeptide hormone, which is actually a chain of 100 or more amino acids put together that make a hormone. Okay, so we have these amino acid hormones that are small groups of hormones that go throughout the body, and then we have the polypeptide hormones that are long chains of 100 or more amino acids throughout the body. So you can begin to kind of think okay, you know, what's the benefit of having a smaller molecule versus having a larger molecule? Smaller molecule will break apart faster and not last as long. A longer molecule will take more to break it apart and have a longer lasting effect. So the third type of hormones, this is the one we've heard of, these are steroid hormones, and these are lipids, okay, that are synthesized from cholesterol. Okay, now what did we say? Steroid hormones, lipids meaning fats, okay, that are synthesized from our cholesterol. So you're telling me that cholesterol has some good effects? Oh, definitely. Cholesterol has a lot of good effects. The problem that we have from cholesterol is when we have too much of cholesterol, and it takes us out of homeostasis in our body, and cholesterol has to try to do something, and the body tries to get rid of this cholesterol, and that's when this cholesterol attaches to the walls. The cholesterol that we sometimes want to get rid of forms extra bonds and becomes what we call sticky cholesterol. Actually attaches to the walls of the arteries, and that's where we have a real problem with cholesterol. But steroid hormones, the third type, lipids that are synthesized from cholesterol. And then we have lipids, number 4, lipids that are synthesized from fatty acid chains. Okay, so let's look at these 4 groups of hormones. Okay, so first of all, we have the amino acid ones that are small groups, small hormones that go throughout the body. They're produced quickly, they're used up quickly, and they're broken down quickly. Then we have the polypeptide hormones that are chains of 100 more or less, but long chains, polypeptide chains of amino acids, long, big, complex hormones that stay in the body for a while, break down slowly, but can stay in the body for days. Then we have the steroid hormone, that's lipids that are synthesized from cholesterol, a quick hormone that's broken down. And then we have the lipids that are secreted from the fatty acids, the fourth type of hormone, once again a long chain from fatty acids. Now, this is when we talk about target cells, we've got to begin to understand that hormones activate these target cells in two ways. So there's two different varieties of hormones. There's the lipid-soluble hormones, the ones that are soluble in fats. Interesting. So you're literally telling me that somebody that doesn't have enough fat could have a problem, or somebody that has too much fat could have a problem. And yeah, we're telling you that fat can come into play with homeostasis. If we don't, well, let's talk about the lipid-soluble hormones. What do they do? What do they do? Lipid-soluble hormones bind to a receptor protein specific to the target cell. So here are these hormones. They're out there. Here's these cells that are being produced. Okay, and once again, we have the steroid hormones and the lipid that are synthesized from fatty acids. That two types of hormones travel in through the fats. Now, they bind to a receptor protein. In other words, there's a certain type of Velcro that only fits the lipid protein, the lipid hormones. Okay, so they're looking for a specific. They bind to a receptor protein specific to the target cell. And then this is what's interesting. In a lipid-soluble hormone, once it bonds to that receptor, then that hormone actually triggers the messenger RNA and tells that DNA of that cell what to do. Is that amazing? That hormone can go in and tell that particular cell to do something different. It's incredible. Can tell that cell to do something different. Can dictate to the messenger RNA that's going to go and give the message to the DNA of what the cell should do. That's how lipid-soluble hormones work. They have a specific receptor, protein receptor, they attach to the cell, and then they work through the messenger RNA to go directly to the DNA. Now, what do the water-soluble hormones do? They bind to a receptor protein on the plasma membrane, okay? The outside of a cell, okay, they bind to the plasma membrane of the cell, and then they produce cyclic AMP, making an enzyme that causes the cellular changes. So here's the difference. So a water-soluble hormone, these are going to be your amino acid hormones, the amino acids and then the polypeptide hormones. These are water-soluble. They travel directly into different parts of the blood. And then they're water soluble. They break down with water. So they find the receptor. They attach to the outside of the cell, and then they control the cell on how much, on what it takes in and takes out. And so it actually forms an enzyme. An enzyme is a biological catalyst to speed up or slow down a reaction. So the water soluble go in and speed up or slow down that cell. So we're trying to get homeostasis. We're out of homeostasis. If it's a lipid-soluble hormone, then it goes, it finds the cells it's looking for, it attaches, and it literally goes in through the cell membrane, goes to the messenger RNA and tells the DNA a different message to do. Wow. Once again, I say this a lot, and I don't, I don't want to make this a big part of the class, but wow, I mean, if you don't believe in the Creator, how in the world? That's not two random cells happening. I mean, all of a sudden, here we go. Here's a fat-soluble hormone, attaches to a cell, takes over the cell, takes over the brain of the cell, reacts through the messenger RNA, tells the DNA what to do with that cell. Incredible. Water-soluble. Okay, so a water-soluble hormone comes in, attaches to the outside of the cell, goes to the out, controls what it moves in and out of the cell, becomes an enzyme which speeds up or slows down that cell. So that's two different types of hormone reactions, lipid-soluble and water-soluble. So we're going to take a break right there and pick it up with the next. It's a lot of information, homeostasis, the different types of hormones, and then fat-soluble, water-soluble, and we'll pick it up with the next video.